Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be, Full Fire Gamers. Welcome to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the top 10 cards from Lorwyn Eclipsed. Absolutely excited about this set. Great universe within set. Great little nostalgia hit for some of the older gamers amongst us. You know who you are. But without much further ado, let's get into it. And just a reminder that you can get all your sealed product and singles from Full Fire TCG in Gloucester, in person only. Don't do online sales at the moment, so best chance to get the best prices from before the scalpers get their hands on stuff. Whether you want Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, One Piece, Riftbound, just had a lovely restock of Riftbound. So get down to Full Fire TCG because that's the best place to buy your trading cards in the southwest. So let's start with an honourable mention. Obviously, the Shocklands are going to be incredibly powerful. They're going to see play in Standard across the board. They're going to be 4Fs in every single deck that wants them. We know that's a quantity that's going to happen, so I've put them in honourable mentions because otherwise this would just be the obvious number one slot. They're going to see play. They're going to be 4Fs in every deck. Happy days, move on. We know that's going to happen. In number 10, I have Moon Shadow. So this is a card that reads quite interesting. So it's a 1 black menace 7/7. This creature enters with 6/1/1 counters on it whenever one or more permanent cards are put into a graveyard from anywhere. While this creature has a -1/1 counter on it, remove a -1/1 counter from this creature. So obviously 1 mana 7/7 is powerful. However, this starts as a 1 mana 1/1, and then you sort of have to do a little bit of work to grow it. There are ways you can cheat that. So in Standard, Likeness Looter lets you pay 1 mana and become a copy of a. But lets you pay X and become a copy of a creature in your graveyard with mana value X. So if you pay 1, become a copy of Moon Shadow, you're 1 mana 7/7. You never entered, so you never came in with the 6/1/1 counters. There's also Reese the Evermore, which just removes all counters from a permanent. It also gives 7 persist. Very interesting. Then when you get back to modern, you have Vampire Hexmage, which can just sacrifice remove all creatures, remove all counters from target permanent. So, but once you get back to modern as well, it is a little bit easier to activate Moonshadow anyway, with stuff like Fetch Lands, Surveil Lands, and stuff like Mishra's Bauble as well. There's a lot of ways that permanents just go to the graveyard naturally in modern, so this may be a little bit more powerful in modern than say Standard or Pioneer. But I think this card's a little interesting build around. I'm not sure how good it's going to be. You do have to do some work to make it good, but that's why it's in my number 10. In number 9, this is a bit of a maverick option here. It's Bloom Tender. So Bloom Tender is 1 and a green for a 1/1 elf druid. It has Vivid for each colour among permanents you control. Add 1 mana of that colour. So this card has been a great card in Commander for a long, long time. Now in Standard, we have Leyline of the Guild Pact, which, if you remember from Zoo, makes everything all colours, which means Bloom Tender gets to just go tap for 5 mana. If you have a way to give it haste, even better, but regardless, it's going to be able to tap for 5 mana. Obviously, we have stuff like Shimmer Wild's Growth, which is a ramp, sort of 2 mana ramp spell, and that chooses a colour. Like Bloom Tender will probably very consistently tap for 2 mana, if not more. So those are the sort of, getting that sort of mana ramp is quite good. So maybe a little bit of work to do with it in Standard to make it worthwhile, but I think in Pioneer especially, Leyline of the Guild Pact is already seeing play in the mono green devotion decks. So Bloom Tender's another foil to that, where you can just have Leyline of the Guild Pact. Even if you go Bloom Tender on turn 3, turn 4, tap out, play Leyline of the Guild Pact, tap Bloom Tender, you actually go up 1 mana. So, not crazy. This card can be used to ramp out. But yeah, a little bit of work maybe. We'll see how it gets there, but that's why it's in my number 9. Okay, in number 8 we have Emptiness, the first of our elemental cycle. So it's hybrid black-white, and 4 for an elemental incarnation. When this creature enters, if white was spent to cast it, return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. When this creature enters, if black was spent to cast it, put 3 -1/-1 counters on up to 1 target creature, and it has Evoke for hybrid black white, and it's a 3/5. So I'm largely reading this card for the very first line of text, which says if white white was spent to cast it, return target creature with mana value 3 or less. So, you know, I've got pictured some cards here, stuff like Cosmic Grand Zenith, Joshua, Phoenix's Dominant, Arborean Oculus, all cards that would be cool to reanimate, or assist in a reanimation plan, because this could just be another copy of Helping Hand for if you want it, and it's also a creature that you can, as the buyout, you can just cast it. So yeah, so stuff like, you know, maybe an Esper deck if you want to use all the parts of the Buffalo on Emptiness. Or potentially a Mardu deck, or even 4-color. 4-color's not out the realms with all the good mana we have in standard right now with Lorwyn Eclipsed, because you're going to get Shocks, Verges, Surveils, and that's just basically free, like everything's a dual land. Shocks and Subverges especially will just be like, okay, here's all my dual lands. So yeah, so Emptiness is interesting. Maybe a little bit more narrow than as we get to some of the other ones. So that's why it's in my number 8. In number 7, now I haven't got anything interesting to go with this, because I think it's just a generically good card, and that's Glenta Lundra Guardian. So that is a blue and a 2 for a creature fairy wizard. Flash flying, this creature enters with a -1/-1 counter on it. It's normally a 3/4, so generally it's going to be a 2/3. And then blue and a 1, remove the counter from this creature, counter target non-creature spell, its controller draws a card. Seems pretty good. It's uncounterable counter on a stick, which is great. And it's a flash threat. I think a lot of blue decks will be reaching for this as just like a generic free cost big guy to just put in play and just sit there and go, well, you're never going to cast the thing you want to cast because I'm just going to counter it. You know, Mirror Breaker in Lessons, for instance, you get to cast this and counter their monument on the way down. It's all good stuff. It's all gravy. So maybe it's something that blue decks will want to use. Okay, moving on to number 6. Maybe could have put this one a little bit higher, but this is where I've left it. Is as in higher in the numbers, not higher in the standings, if that makes sense. So Vibrance is a hybrid green-red, and 3 for an elemental incarnation. Another evoke elemental here, so when this creature enters, if red was spent to cast it, it deals 3 damage to any target. When this creature enters, if green was spent to cast it, search your library for a land, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle, gain 2 life. And evoke, hybrid green-red for a 4/4. So again, this one is a little bit more narrow, but I think it's more generically good in the decks that want it. So I've put Summoners Pact up here because this is a way that they get that Titan gets out from underneath Magus of the Moon, for example. And also it's just like, okay, it searches for a Boseiju, for instance, if you're under a Blood Moon. So like Vibrance, both parts of it will get you out from underneath a lock piece, which is great. A land lock piece, I should say. And then it is, at the end of the day, it's a 5 mana 4/4 that it enters, it deals 3 damage to something and searches for a land. Like, it's just a fine card. Like, so I think that decks that want it will want to play it, probably in a few number. Okay, so moving on to number 5. This is the most boring one. It's an uncommon called Seer. It's a 1 and a red for an instant. Deal 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker. I mean, what's there to say? Obliterating Bolt was seeing play. This is better Obliterating Bolt unless you really care about the exile clause. And to be honest with you, the exile clause is really not that relevant in standard right now. So this is another card where it's just going to be a strict upgrade. It's just going to be something that red is going to just pick up. Probably is at decks, I'll be honest with you. Sorry guys, it's finally good. And they'll just play a couple copies of these and they'll be happy. But yeah, number 5 is boring. Number 4 is Deceit. So another one of our Evoke elementals here. So Deceit is a hybrid blue-black, and 4 for another elemental incarnation. When this creature enters, if blue was spent to cast it, return up to 1 other target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. And when this creature enters, if black was spent to cast it, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And it's evoke hybrid blue black for a 5/5. So this is a fairly niche card in what decks will want it, but the decks that want it are going to be very, very, very happy that they're getting it. So I put 2 cards up here, and it's Superior Spider-Man and Living End. Both are a very similar style of deck. Superior Spider-Man is obviously referred to as Sultai Living End in the standard, or Sultai Reanimator, and obviously both of these cards, both of those decks will want this card because it is just a Thoughtseize. There is also a creature that goes to your yard, which you are extremely happy about. Especially Living End, I don't believe they had any way to really play any good Thoughtseize cards, and now they just get an option to go, okay, black, have a look in your hand. Oh, there's a, in standard, oh, there's a Soul Guide Lantern. In modern, oh, there's a Consigned Memory, there's a Vexing Bauble. Okay, let's just rip those out of the way. And not having to be so reliant on your free permission in Living End, and then Superior Spider-Man like reliant on your Awaken the Undead to remove your lock piece. So I think Superior Spider-Man decks will get a lot better in standard at being able to fight through hate. Because right now they sort of go, you go play Soul Guide Lantern, they go, okay, Awaken the Undead, you go, okay, second hate piece, good game. And that's really where it ends. But yeah, so Deceit's going to be very good. Also to note, it is a blue card. It's a blue card for Force of Negation. It's a blue card for Subtlety as well. So just another foil for why it's going to be really good in Living End. But yeah, great card to reanimate and great for those decks. Number 3, I have Bitter Bloom Bearer. This is mostly because I think it's going to have a massive impact in Standard, and then lesser impact as you go further back. So this curves really, really nicely into Kaito, Bane of Nightmares. So your turn 1 is whatever, requiring Hex, which I haven't put on here to be fair as my top 10. I think it's like the 11th best card in the set, for what it's worth. But Kaito, Bane of Night, you go turn 2, hold up your mana. Okay, my opponent taps out. Alright, Bitter Bloom Bearer, play it. Upkeep, make a fairy, go to combat, swing with both. They're both flyers. Kaito flicks out the token, and sweet, happy days. You've got a Bitter Bloom Bearer on board, you've got Kaito on board. Kaito's able to tap down their 2. If the 2 drop was something incredibly powerful, a creature that you want to tap down, there you are, tap it down. Winner. Very good curve. Obviously, this makes Spell Stutter a lot better in Standard. Right now, I know the blue-black decks were playing Phantom Interference. They could now play Spell Stutter, and you'll get bonuses from this, from its fairy tokens. Like this could be counter unless you pay 4, 5, 6. And then as you get further back into Modern, you have Stealth Spell Stutter Sprite, which is obviously good with Blitter Blossom and Bitter Bloom Bearer effects. However, I'm not sure if Fairies is going to be that good anyway, but if it is, these 2 will probably be seen in tandem. Number 2, now we're getting into some of the real powerful cards. You have Wistfulness, which is a blue-green hybrid for and free for an elemental incarnation. When this creature enters, if green was spent to cast it, exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. When this creature enters, if blue was spent to cast it, draw 2 cards, then discard a card, and then evoke hybrid blue-green for a 6/5. So why am I excited for this card? So like Deceit earlier, the Superior Spider-Man, the Living End things, those both hold true for this card as well, because it's the starting part is here. The double blue, draw 2 cards, discard a card. Charter Course is just playable on a creature that goes to the graveyard, and then it's also main deck answers to any main deck hate. So if your opponent goes, aha, I play my Soul Guide Lantern, you go, haha, double green, kill it. And then your opponent's going to be Bad News Bears, or if they play a main deck Rest in Peace, stuff like that. And again, Living End will love this because this is another Foundation Breaker style effect. And then I've also seen this being talked about in Ouroboros, because this is more main deck ways to deal with lessons, like taking their talent or taking their monument, and at worst this is a 5 mana 6/5 that draws 2 cards, discard cards, and kills a monument or a talent. Like, this can be very back-breaking if you get to do both effects. And it's something you can certainly look for. You can have like your Ouroboros, you have your Wistfulness, you have your Quantum Riddlers. You've just got all this good top end that your opponent can really struggle to deal with from like a ramp perspective. But before we get into number one, there is one thing I want to mention, and that is what I think is the most overrated card from Lorwyn Eclipsed. And that is Hexing Squelcher. I know, controversial, but I think this card, in the lens of 60-card constructed Magic, is going to be bad. We've seen Frenzied Baloth, people were excited about that, and it's turned into nothing. Hexing Squelcher is a very similar card, can't be countered. This time it gives other creatures ward to pay 2 life, and it has ward pay 2 life, but it's just 2/2. Your control opponent's going to kill it, and this is like the dopamine card, in that if your control player has 4 counter spells in hand and no other way to answer the board, then yes, this card's obviously good. But control isn't leaning on counter spells in modern Magic so much anymore. It's more leaning on proactive removal. So Hexing Squelcher just is a shock for 2 mana. So don't pick it up for constructed unless you're playing CDH. I'll give it like CDH if they're focused on free permissioning counter spells, fine. But yeah, in 60 cards constructed, I think Hexing Squelcher, unless you're like a dedicated Goblin deck, this isn't going to do much. Okay, and now we're all wondering, what is the number 1 card from Lorwyn Eclipsed? And that is Formidable Speaker, the JED card himself. This card is an absolute house. When this creature enters, so green and a 2 for an Alpha Druid instead of 2/4. When this creature enters, you may discard a card. If you do, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, and then 1 tap, untap another target permanent. So I've talked about Superior Spider-Man already, I've talked about Living End already, I've talked about Ouroboros already. Those 3 decks love this card. Superior Spider-Man decks, discard Bringer the Last Gift, discard Arden, search for Superior Spider-Man. Living End decks, discard any fatty, search for the Cascade creature. Its name is escaping me, the blue-green Cascade creature. It'll come to me. The Cascade thing for Living End. Ouroboros, turn 3. Maybe your game hasn't gone so well. Chuck an elf, search for an Ouroboros. In Yawgmoth, discard your Walking Ballista with a cold. So turn 2 play Cauldron, turn 3 play Formidable Speaker, discard Walking Ballista, go search for Young Wolf. Turn 4 play Young Wolf, make it a Walking Ballista and potentially win the game, gain infinite life, deal infinite damage, that sort of stuff. Or even search for Yawgmoth. And the important part is, it doesn't say discard a creature, it just says discard a card. So you draw a land. Okay, I know I'm playing Formidable Speaker in my deck, I'm just going to hold this land. Next turn I draw Formidable Speaker, cool. Play Formidable Speaker, discard the land, find action. It's just so good. It's just so good. Like, being able to tutor is incredibly powerful in general, and enabling other stuff because of your tutoring is great. Like Ouroboros is going to become extremely consistent in standard at either playing Ouroboros on 4, which it already does quite a lot of the time, or finding all its hate pieces. So finding the Reclamation Sages, the Sentinels of the Lost Lore, anything like Ouroboros could quite easily become a very toolboxy deck. Even just finding Wistfulness off of this is going to be good. But yeah, so that is the top 10 cards. Thank you for watching. Just a reminder that you can get all of these singles that we've talked about today and more sealed product down at Full Fire TCG. And even if Magic's not your bag, I don't know if you've managed to make it all the way to the end of the video, if Magic's not your bag. However, if it's not, Pokemon, One Piece, Riftbound, Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, any trading card game, Full Fire probably does it. Go down, get yourself some singles, sealed product at Full Fire TCG in the Gloucester Keys. Thank you for watching.